Hello everyone, ready or not, here I come with another video. And what I'd like to do today is a few notes and analysis with respect to the scenario P as in Papa, the road to Wiltz. So I had a little bit of a brainstorming event, to use appropriate words, safe for children words. I thought I'd share a couple of rants with you, a couple of insights, see what you think, comment below, be respectful. And hopefully, I'll also share with you my link to my squad leader cup sale on eBay. I was authorized by Roger McGowan to issue 10. The proceeds are going to use to finance my youngest son's education. So look for that in the link below. Is the price hefty? I would say it is. But the way the exchange rate works here in Canada and the US is that we're expecting our currency to tank. So, um, you know, I'm probably looking forward to paying $200 to MVP Canadian for Doom battalions, and by the time the module arrives, I'll probably end up owing 3,000 Canadian. Anyway, all jokes aside, let's get on with the show here. So. I know it's summer, and if you like to play the game with uh, the time period coinciding with the period of the events that had taken place so many years ago, um, would probably be looking at D-Day scenarios. But at this point in time, I have some time, and I don't know where I'll be few months from now and whatnot. So might as well take advantage of the situation and do a video on a bulge scenario. Why not? So let's take a look at the scenario card one more time. And hopefully I won't have the issues I had previously where the counters didn't cooperate with me. So this is a JPEG file. Unfortunately, I scanned it into JPEG somehow. Vastly different from the scenario that scenario number 12 that came with the squad leader module here. Okay. In terms of size, there's only two boards, 15 turns. So you're dealing with the combat engineers. So normally the units at the bulge, the American units at the bulge, were there to rest and recover. It appears in this case, though, the Germans came upon some first line and elite forces. Mind you, the number of multi-man counters here in terms of infantry as opposed to crews, it's only 7. And the first thing that came to my mind is deploy one way or another. Deploy as the Germans, deploy as the Americans, because the more squads, the more multi-man counters that you have, the greater your force appears to be to your opponent. And let's not forget, with concealment, your opponent doesn't know whether you have a multi-man full squad or half squad coming against them. Makes a difference. And I'll show you a couple of other things as well. Now, in the case of the Germans, you have 16 multi-man counters, but again, deployment is something to do, so you can send some scouts forward and scout the terrain, see where everybody is, do some revealing of enemy units if possible. Keep in mind that here the Germans will advance on the east side of the board almost immediately, and the Americans, apart from SSR 5, which says actually SSR 2, there's no more than 21 counters allowed, including concealment and excluding mines on board 2. So you'll be facing a sizable force right off the bat and a well equipped force in terms of firepower. As the Americans, I dread facing the 75 Ls and 75 the Yad Panthers. Um, again, this is dependent on the German player uh, using the Yad Panthers effectively. Probably I'll talk to you about that more about that in a moment. And let's get started right away. So the first thing we need to look into is how are we going to set up the Americans, and keep in mind that the roads are plowed. Let's see, where did I see that on the scenario card? Right here. So special rules, all roads are plowed. Okay, well, plowed does not necessarily mean paved, therefore possibly I could put mines on them. In terms of mines, we have 21 factors. 21 factors, anti-personnel, AP. So you can deploy them in factors of 6, 8, and 12. I did some math. So if I did 3 factors of 6, that gives me 18 total anti-personnel factors and 3 anti-tank factors. If I limit it um, to 12 anti-personnel factors, that would give me a total of uh, 9 A, AP AT factors, anti-tank factors, but there would be a certain number that would be limited to board 2. Not really. The mines are excluded. So 9. Wow, that's a good number of mines. But let's see how I would approach the American defense, and then talk to you about the uh, German attack. So, with respect to the American defense, I would opt for, of course, a defense in depth, and we also have non-concealment counters, right there, a couple of dummies. Wow, that would be great. And don't forget that since the Germans are starting off board, we on board too can start concealed, um, but subject to the 20 counter limit, 21 counter limit. So Americans may begin the game with no more than 21 counters, including fortifications and all concealment counters, but not mines, on board 2, inclusive of board A. All right, so that limits us to some extent. However, we do have quite a few units to to work with. Now, in terms of deployment, I go back to the card. We have 7 plus 3 is 10, plus 4 is 14. So that gives us the ability to create um, 2 half squads, which is great. All right, so just thinking out loud here. Let's take the 747s. Let's see if the counters will cooperate. They're cooperating somewhat. Guess what's going on is I have a lot of overlays here. Okay, put these guys up. I like to line everybody up and put them in some semblance of an order. They're cooperating better than before. Okay, these are my crews and my DCs. And we'll zoom in. MMGs, bazookas. my leaders, 7-0. It's one. Hey, we got a couple of half tracks here, which is great. 8-0 leader. Just put them on the board for now. Some elite weapons, some nice mortars, 8 mortars and east. Trucks, just in case. Just in case of what? And we'll talk about fortifications uh, after the fact. Okay, let's go to artillery. Okay, let's zoom in here. So we said we're going to deploy 2 squads. I'm going to tend to um, navigate towards deploying 747s as opposed to 666s. And let's see how we will navigate that road. Come on, boys. I'm getting some lag, but not as bad as before. All right, we got the 747s, and we're going to deploy 1, 2. That'll give us 4 multi-man counters, half squad, and clone, and half squad, and clone. Awesome. So, what kind of goodies do we have for these folks here? We have a flamethrower. We're going to have at least 1 bazooka. And we'll give the bazooka to the full line squad. We got to count the counters that we have here. These are 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, the DC charges. The DC charges are good to go. Check that out. I just made everything look more than it should be. Okay, so we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10. Give it or take a leader is 11. Let's see, 3, 6, 3, 6, 9, 9, 15, 15, 15 plus another 3 is 18, 20. Yeah, yuck. Yuck, I guess. Guess. So 3, 6, 9, and this dude is going to sit it out for now. This fellow is going to be there. Okay, so now we got 4 including a concealment counter here, and we need a roadblock. Okay, all over here, they're all over the place, but bear with me. So we got our frontal defense here, okay? That's who are going to be the vanguard of our defense. We got uh, we got 4, 4. Hold on, let's see if we got the right amount of counters here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Mark that down. 17. Let's see where we can place these guys. So these guys should be the vanguard of our defense. So should the roadblock. Now, now where are we going to place everything? Hmm. Where should we place everything? Well, naturally, I think the roadblock, the furthest up we can place it, could conceivably be here in BB2. So let's think out loud here, right? If we place the roadblock here, basically the roadblock extends from the mid-hex here to there, which would imply that all the infantry can possibly just go through here. It doesn't block the infantry. It would block um, the vehicles, and subsequently to that, they would have to pay to go into higher terrain, which is another 4 movement factors that they will lose. Um, at a different perspective, from a different perspective, here would be a more effective, would also be very effective because at this point, since the roadblock extends from here, the midpoint of hex S1 to, in theory, to Romeo 1, midpoint of Romeo 1, well, from this area here, no vehicle will be able to get around. And then for vehicles to go around this roadblock, either they're going to have to take the high ground, which is 1, 2 levels higher. This is another 4, 8 movement factors or 10 movement factors just to get around this roadblock or move around this way. And then you can center your defense. Um, you can center your defense around this area here. Um, You can put a squad with a couple of satchel charges here, and um, so like so. Make sure they have adequate route paths. Now that doesn't leave a lot of room for dummies. Um, we got 3, 6, 9, 12, 12, 13, plus 4 is 17. Um, let's not forget that we can have up to 3 AT mines, or if we lower the AP mines, we can put as many as 9 different mine factors here, right? So this seems to be pretty adequate. So you need to keep in mind that, hey, um, the American player will be limited in terms of how many units they can put on board too. So hence, uh, you'll probably have to create a rapid deployment force, um, if you have the units to do so, um, with these half tracks. But we only have four, um, four um, of multi-man counters here. Four multi-man counters and 3 half tracks, so you can have a force whereby they can um, stay here. You can put them here. Now the remainder of the fortifications, like the wire hex, the wires, you got 2. You can place them in areas where um, the Germans will have to uh, incur bypass movement, and in bypass movement with ground snow, the armored fighting vehicles have to pay 1 extra movement factor to go around the obstacle. And again, the obstacles are not known to anyone except to the American player. This is a nice place to have some units. Okay, there's one obstacle. My rapid deployment force of half tracks with units. We put 3 passengers. And they each have a medium machine gun. So depending on where once you find out where the Germans are planning to come in, the half tracks with 20 movement factors, and since the roads are plowed, you get the road movement rate. Um, that will uh, help you bolster your defense. And you can assign a leader to them. 8 minus 1, there you go. And then I would also put a 666 with a bazooka somewhere around here. Let's see, this is a bazooka 44. What's its range? Let's flip it. 4 hex range. 1, 2, 3, 4. That road is covered. Okay, to some extent. Flip. Put an 8 minus 1 leader, because the leader can use his negative modifier to affect the to hit rule. The tank, if the tank gets destroyed, no big deal. You still have a +1 modifier for height advantage. Looks like I'm still struggling with this program. program and recording and everything, but so far it's a bit better than before. So we have a rapid deployment force. We have uh, a leader here with a bazooka. The other thing you can think about is, let's put another um, let's put another um, impediment to the Germans exiting, and the impetus here is to prevent them from using the road rate and taking the high road out. Okay, now we have a whole bunch of artillery units and mortars all over the place. I'm not going to put them all on the board. I'm going to put some uh, in areas where they can move up and cause havoc. Um, uh, However, the other thing you can do is put units behind the crests and use spotters to uh, rain down artillery on your opponent. There you go. Somehow it knows that this is the possession. So let's put these here. A couple of AT guns where they're least expected. Remember, your AT guns and your fortifications are going to start hip. Yeah, I took the liberty to pause the video and just move the units to where I thought it would be a good place to put them. So let's take a look at the map board and see what's going on. So we have here a few units in a position to ambush the Germans. Early start. Then we have a rapid deployment force in half tracks, 3 squads, 3 MMGs. Depending on where the Germans come, they can use their mobility to uh, come get at the Germans. We have a 105 in reserve. We have some AT guns in a place where they can crossfire and ambush the German attacks. We have a destroyer, a tank destroyer that can look down this road and and uh, probably have line of sight going from E2 all the way down to Q2. Um, we have a mortar behind the crest of this little hill with a leader that can either act as a spotter for the mortar um, or affect the to hit dice roll for the bazooka. They're going to attempt to entrench. So entrenching is under B2711, but keep in mind when you're looking at the ground snow rules at E 3.72, I believe, there is a +2 modifier because there's ground snow in order to entrench, so that will be very unlikely to happen. Um, and for the uh, German player, okay, you got the things to remember is that you got a 6+1 leader here. Well, number one is to deploy, because the more squads you deploy, the more units you'll have to search. This is a miracle. It seems to be working. All right, and this dude here, he seems to be useless because he's a 6+1 leader, but he can take as much as 3-6 full squads and move him up 6 to 8 movement factors depending on whether he goes CX or not. So in terms of exiting everybody, he is useful. He's not entirely unuseful. The other thing I looked at was if there were any German armored fighting vehicles with light ground pressure, and there appears not to be, because that would help in terms of avoiding bogs. It doesn't appear to be any. Now, where can your vehicle bog? The vehicle can bog in terms of getting into trying to go through a wire hex. However, the American player has a couple of units with light ground pressure, so they can go through their wire and there won't be an issue. The other thing that you have to remember is these little guys right there, the Shermans, they have a white rate of fire, meaning they can declare gun duels. So they can get the first shot off on the German armored fighting vehicles. Now, let's take a look at more in depth the Germans and see what things we need to really understand is that, um, again, we don't have to commit our entire force on the first turn by SSR, so we can avoid traffic situations, deploy, so bring some half squads up to find out um, where the actual units are, and do some searching to find out where the mines are. So reconnaissance on the first turn is important. Keep in mind that wire can cause bog. Roadblock is actually your worst enemy, and again, clearance is not so easy. Um, and you'll have to search. You'll have to search to find the AT mines, because AT mines do not affect infantry. So if you're not familiar with search, look up Rule A12.152 and make sure that you search and clear the path for, or find a clear path for the German armor to pass through the American lines. So with that said, 32 minutes in, and I was planning only to do a 45-minute video. Um, and looking at this scenario, it appears to be very interesting. I'll have to play it. Um, Obviously, when I do play it, then my video recorder is not on. The um, the gremlins that you see from time to time, um, whereby there's lag with the movement of the counters, does not appear. Um, and I apologize for that. I thought I overcame that bug, but it appears not. We'll see what we have to do with Vassal. I might just revert to playing on cardboard. Um, and just looking at the board, I also saw that on turn two, uh, the German player has a radio to, I believe, a battalion mortar. So you have to keep in mind that there's a negative modifier in order to ensure that you still have access um, to your artillery after you've established radio contact. So let's recap at this point. Keep in mind, as the US player, you're limited to 21 counters, including concealment, on board 2 at the initial phase. So you'll have to use or dedicate a portion of your force as a rapid deployment force to adjust your defense depending on where the German player enters. Review the notes or rules with respect to ground snow in Chapter E. And if you do, you understand that your fortifications will have to be placed in a certain way whereby you'll be denying infantry um, the road rate and make them go up a hill, or for the armored fighting vehicles, apart from making them go up the road, if they do decide to use bypass movement, they'll incur another movement point due to the ground snow. Keep in mind spotters, leaders can spot, half squads can spot. Um, it keeps your artillery safe from enemy fire, uh, saves them for another day, put them in a position where they're protected from enemy fire. They, they are um, emplaced, but a unit like a leader can spot for them from a distance without exposing the firepower to um, enemy fire. Um, Keep in mind deployment. Is deployment effective? It increases the amount of counter tally for board two. However, the on the German side, when you set up concealed, ultimately your opponent doesn't know if it's a full squad or a half squad, so there's a fear factor there. Um, and yes, do use uh, more AP mines, or seriously consider using more than 3 AT mines and as many as 9 throughout the board to upset um, the advance of the German armor. These babies, the turn 4 reinforcements that come in, they're powerful 75L guns. And I guess another point to mention is that these guys here, I have so many, I guess I have a lot of, these guys here, they need to gain the height, and um, they need to gain the heights. Come on, let's do it. Oop. These hexes here, these 2 hexes here, they're paramount to an excellent way of keeping the American heads low. So right there is their covered arc, right, right there. And basically, with an armor factor of 14, small target, small silhouette, height advantage, it'll be hard for these guys to uh, it'll be hard for these guys to knock these guys out. And these guys can keep everybody down once and if the Americans fail to advance um, properly. Or they can even tear a clear path for the Germans to exit. Okay. Also, keep in mind, as the American player, with your Shermans, you have the ability to do a gun duel right there, due to the little one there. Hmm. Now, as the German player, the points to remember are: don't diss Colonel Klink here, the 6+1 leader, because he can allocate 6 movement points to your squads and 6 movement factors for your squads. And with 6 movement factors, it can be the difference between um, victory and defeat. Uh, Keep in mind that you don't have to commit all your units at the same time by SSR, so avoid traffic, uh, keep a level and clear ahead, um, use your squads, especially the second level squads, to search as per A12.152, find out where the mines are, clear a path for uh, your armor force, and break through. Guys, that's all I had to say in terms of brainstorming and Schedule P. Call it an analysis, call it a brain fart, call it whatever you'd like. You know, it's a scenario that I'd like to play, I guess, because I played it, as I said in my previous video, I played it um, with the classic rules. And with the classic rules, there's always a big hiccup in terms of playability, in terms of the amount of time that it takes and the chaos that ensues. And the rule set was a little bit wacky compared to Advanced Squad Leader. So something to think about. Yeah. And with 15 turns, it gives the it affords the German player a certain amount of latitude in terms of how they will advance and what to search and what to look for. The only thing that I don't like about this setup is I don't have any MGs up front uh, and running, but there are limitations to how the Americans can set up. That's all I had to say, guys. I did my recap. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will try to improve upon the quality. I did buy a new mic, and it seems to work a lot better than my video recording software. Um, we'll see how things evolve. And yeah, do check out my link to my eBay auction for Squalier cups. Um, like I said, limited quantity, 10. We'll see how that evolves, and I'll keep you posted. Shout out to all of you. Thank you for watching, and thanks to all the new and existing subscribers, and of course to those that have been here since the start. See you soon. Take care.